Hi, this is Dr. Denise Shranowski, and this is this week's A Dose from Dr. Denise, where I hope to inspire you and teach you how to release your God-given health and life potential. If you've been following these posts and videos, you know that last week I encouraged you to get your behind or your buttocks to the gym, and that's where I am right now after finishing up church. I definitely encourage you to pause this video if you didn't watch last week and go back and watch it. And last week, essentially what I asked you to do is to make movement non-negotiable and make it habitual. When you make something habitual, you don't have to think about it. And this week, I'm going to ask you to do the exact opposite, which is to think very much about this topic. And the topic I want to cover this week is healthy eating. You know, when you get on an airplane, the flight attendants tells you to put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. And there's a reason, because if you are not functional and healthy, then you can't help other people. So, you know, health is not a God-given right, it's a God-given choice. And we can make whatever choices we want. That's the beauty of not only being a child of God, but it's also the beauty of living in a free country. You can make whatever choice you want. You are just not free from the consequences of those choices. And I think each of you watching this know that the consequences of our bad eating is affecting every single one of us, whether it is increased taxes because we have to pay for the healthcare burden, or whether it's poor health for you or a family member. So this week I want to share with you just a couple simple things with regards to healthy eating. So the first is that I want you to be incredibly mindful about what you're eating. So habitual means we don't have to think about it. And that's why coming to the gym right after church on Sunday is not something I have to think about. My car goes in autopilot. But what I had for breakfast this morning is something that I want to think about. So this week, I want you to be very mindful in your eating habits. So first of all, I do not want you to eat anything that you haven't planned to eat. And so, for example, you know, let's say you're a school teacher and you go into the teacher's lounge, and lo and behold, it is someone's birthday, which, by the way, it's someone's birthday every single day, and there are bagels and donuts there. Well, guess what? You didn't plan to eat those, so I'm going to ask that you not eat those. For me, an example is in the chiropractic office that I'm working in right now. There are mints at the checkout station, and the patients love those mints. And they dissolve quickly in your mouth, just a little bit of sugar. Well, I had gotten into the habit, habitual, not thinking, of taking 3 or 4 mints home with me each night as I drove home from work. And I decided to be more mindful about that and to not have that, because it was unplanned and it was unnecessary. So that's one thing I want you to think about. The second thing I want you to think about is to really be mindful when you're eating your meals. I want you to practice stopping eating before you're full. All right, stopping eating before you're full. And so what that means is just to stop eating when you're no longer hungry. They say the average person underestimates what they eat by 1,000 calories a day. So if you just eat a little bit more slowly, a little bit more mindful, and you stop eating when you're no longer hungry versus when you're full, then you will greatly reduce the amount of calories you're consuming each day, because you'll be mindful of it. So again, a personal example is that my husband weighs probably about 60, 70 more pounds than me. I do not need to consume the same amount of calories that he does. So even if I'm serving us both an incredibly healthy meal of salmon and broccoli and a side salad and maybe some brown rice, I don't need as much nutrients as he does, and so I need to eat less than him. And I need to be mindful. And when I just do this real simple thing, which is to stop eating when I'm no longer hungry versus when I'm full, and I'm mindful of that decision, then I eat less. And the third thing I'm going to ask you is something real simple, which is just think about your day tomorrow morning that you wish to have. And so what I mean by that is, tomorrow morning when I wake up, I want to be happy with all the food choices that I made today, Sunday. So a lot of times we have mindless eating, we don't think about it, we grab this, we grab that, it wasn't planned, we overeat, we go out to a restaurant when we hadn't planned to do that day. And so I just want you to think about your morning tomorrow morning being incredibly happy with your choices that you made the previous day. My uncle calls this playing the movie until the end of the reel. So my uncle, who's a very, very astute businessman and has owned multi-million dollar businesses, taught me that once. He said, Denise, the greatest advice I can ever give you is whatever business decision you're going to make, play the movie until the end of the reel. And so I would say that with your healthy eating options. Finally, I want to just conclude with this thought. Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning in last century, probably one of the top 10 books written of all times. He's a Holocaust survivor and incredible story. But he had visited America many, many times and was very impressed with our country, and he married an American nurse. And he said that our Statue of Liberty should be equally matched with a statue of responsibility. And so that's what I want to impress upon you this week, is that you are free to make whatever choices you want. You are simply not free from the consequences of those choices. And food matters very, very much. What you put in your pie hole matters. And so I want you to be mindful, not mindless, about what you eat. I want you to think about it. I want you to plan your meals. I don't want you to eat anything this week that you hadn't planned. I want you to stop eating when you're no longer hungry versus when you're full. And I want you to play that movie until the end of the reel. So this is this week's A Dose from Dr. Denise. Peace out, and I'll see you next week.